In this video, we are going to be talking about my personal experience on the big island of Hawaii, specifically with interacting with the great deity Pele and the lava rock curse. My name is Catherine. I'm an energy healer, spiritual coach, and nurse practitioner. If you need personalized coaching or an energy healing from yours truly, then you can go to my website at catherineglassman.com or you can email me at hello@catherineglassman.com. Now, let me start this video off by saying that I respect Hawaii so much that I honestly feel like I am supposed to live there. And I know a lot of people say that because it's paradise and it's beautiful, but I have a very strong connection to the Hawaiian Islands. I just feel like there is just this deep sense of respect and love with the islands, and from the indigenous or from the natives to the Hawaiian Islands. Okay. And of course, I would love to live there. Trust me, I would. But there are a number of things that hold me back from doing that. And so I want to preface this video by saying that I deeply love the Hawaiian Islands, deeply. The natives, the culture, like everything about it. It's just so beautiful to me. Okay. Now, I have been to Hawaii about 3 times now, two different islands, but this was my first time going to the Big Island and I was very excited. I've always wanted to go to the Big Island and I just didn't know what to expect. And I intentionally try not to do a lot of research before going to a new place because I just want to authentically connect with the island or with the area. And I feel like I organically get drawn to certain areas. And so I went there with my partner and we both had an amazing time and there's just so much to do. I don't even know how many days we spent there. I want to say like five, 5 or 6, but regardless, it's just not enough. There is the um, Paniolo area. I think that's what they're called, but basically that's where we stayed. We stayed in Waimea, which is Paniolo country. And what's funny is that Paniolo means like Hawaiian cowboy. Okay. So from with us traveling from Texas, it was just so funny that we just so happened to stay in an area where that is heavily part of the culture, like the local culture there was the cowboys. And from what I understand, and I could be wrong, if my memory serves me, but from what I understand, I think it was either I want to say maybe Mexicans or Spanish people in general came to the Hawaiian Islands and actually taught the Hawaiians how to wrangle up cattle. And so they brought horses and they brought cows and they taught the Hawaiians basically how to be cowboys. And I think Paniolo like comes roughly from Espanol, like that was like their translation. And so anyway, so the cute little town that we stayed in, there's a statue of like a Hawaiian cowboy like wrangling up a cow. So cute. And it's cool because instead of like traditional cowboy hats that we understand, they are made of I don't know what the plant is called, but there is a plant or a tree in Hawaii that has like long leaves. And when they dry up, they fold them into shapes and then they dry and they harden into that shape. So you'll often see them as like cute little shirts or flowers or whatever, but instead they made theirs into like hats. And then they would put a lei like around the brim of the hat. So anyway, just wanted to share that. It has nothing to do with this story, but as you can tell, I love Hawaii. I want to move there so bad. But, regardless. So anyway, lava rock curse, okay? If you are not familiar with the lava rock curse, which I am, and I'm going to preface all of this by saying that I was fully aware of this curse, okay? This curse, all right? And so I've been very respectful. I don't know if I made another video. I think I made another video about my time visiting Maui. And I was hiking and I got a cut in my shoe. And I heard a voice say, use a leaf. And I responded with, I can't use a leaf. I can't take anything from the islands because I was aware of this curse, right? And they were like, consider it a gift. So I took a leaf, I folded it up, I put it in my shoe where the cut was, and it made the pain go away. And it was only because it wasn't like rubbing against my shoe. At the end of the hike, the leaf had completely disintegrated. So regardless, I wouldn't have been able to keep it anyway. So that was years ago. So I understand that you can't just take stuff from Hawaii, okay? So anyway, my partner and I are getting drawn to different areas, and I'm going to make separate videos about the different sacred areas because they are powerful and they are 1,000% a part of the great grid of the earth. And if you want to experience healing and just peace in your soul, in your heart, then visiting one of these areas will definitely heal you. It healed me immediately. And the next morning, I was like in such a good mood and like, I don't know, I was just uplifted. So anyway, so we're going to these areas. And again, I'm not doing any research, okay? I am there were two sacred sites that we were drawn to. The first one, I just looked on a map and it just said like scenic area. And I was like, okay, let's go here. And we went there. And as soon as you pull into the place, you can feel this energy. And so we walked up to the sign, and sure enough, it was a sacred area. And there was a road so that you can get closer to the area. So we took the road and we walked along the beach, and it was just so healing. Okay. So that was the first one. The second one was on our last day, and we went up to, oh shoot, oh my gosh, I can't remember. Oh, darn, I'm bad. We went up to this area that I wanted to explore because we haven't seen that part of the island, and I still to this day I haven't been to every section of the island, unfortunately, so I have to go back. But anyway, we go to this area, and it's a cute little like artist town, and they have like a homemade ice cream place. Oh God, what is it called? I can't remember. Ugh, terrible. But homemade ice cream, and it is the best ice cream I've ever had. It was so good. And it's a good thing that they give you small portions and a small spoon, or else I would just gorge out on so much ice cream. And we're checking out, and the gentleman is being very nice to us. I don't know if he's the owner or if he just worked there or what, but he said, are you headed over to the lookout point? And we were like, no. And he was like, no problem. You're just going to take this road if you've got time. And if you don't have any knee or hip issues, it'll be an easy hike, but you're just going to take this road all the way until it ends. And then you need to park on the side of the road, and then you're just going to hike down, and you'll see like a black sand beach and like a sacred area. And we were like, awesome. So it didn't take us long to get there, and that's how we ended up in the second sacred place. So cool. Love it so much. And that's exactly what I asked for, is to just be pulled to a place. Very happy about that, okay? Now, that has nothing to do with the lava rock curse, okay? All right. We were in an area, okay? This is towards the end of the trip, okay? And I had been giving crystals. I gave a crystal to both of the sacred sites that I had mentioned, okay? So I had been giving crystals, and I'm intentionally connecting these sacred sites to the grid. That's just what I do. I consider myself to be a grid worker, right? Just strengthening the energetic grid of planet Earth. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. And we go to this area and I get this crazy download that it's okay for us to take a rock. Okay. I didn't believe it. All right. I did not believe it because I was like, there's just no way. But the download was very strong and it was very, it just felt good. I had my reservations for sure. And so there was still like some doubt for sure, but I didn't know if the doubt was from the already laid out legend or if the doubt was my intuition. So I was having trouble deciphering between the two. But then I was getting so confused as to why I was getting permission to take a rock. And the only thing that I could think of was that I was doing energy work and I was like laying crystals in, crystals like infused with energy, right, to these areas. And and so it was just so weird. So we were getting like pushed to take a rock. So I told my partner, because I told him about the curse. I told him not to take anything, that it's a big no-no. Okay. So he was fully aware. So he did not. But I told him, and he was like, are you sure? And I was like, I don't know. I think so. I feel like we're getting the okay to take one. And so we looked around in this area and he was like, so do you see one that kind of stands out to you? And I was like, yeah, that one right there. And he's like, that's the one I was thinking too. Okay. And, bless him. Okay. Because he's not super spiritual by any means, but he definitely is an empath for sure. And he was walking around like touching the trees and touching the rocks and like connecting with nature. And it was really sweet to see because not everybody does that. So I really like that. And so he picks up the rock and he's holding it and he's like, wow, this has a lot of energy. And he gives it to me and yeah, it had a lot of energy. And so just for fun, I was like, because I started to see something come from the rock. And I was like, do you see any colors or anything coming from the rock? And he was like, honestly, I just see white light. And I was like, I see a rainbow. But, I guess that's kind of the same thing, right? And he was like, yeah, if you put white light through a prism, you get a rainbow. So, it was like we were just having fun and we started walking around the area and I'm holding the rock because I'm still skeptical. It's like, I don't know. I'm just going to walk around with it and just see how it feels. Okay. So I'm walking around with it and I'm connecting with it and I'm asking like, are you sure? Like, you're really giving this to us? Like, are you sure? And all I kept seeing was like rainbows and like plumerias of the flowers like coming out of the rock and like just hearing like your home, your us, right? It was like this moment of connecting with everything. And it was just such a beautiful moment that I got to share with my partner and we both felt it. I started becoming emotional and I just felt so grateful in that moment. Like, wow, I'm really getting a rock. This is so exciting. Like who would think to be so excited about getting a lava rock from like the Big Island, right? And so I'm having this moment, okay? And I'm walking around and it just feels good. And I was like, okay, I think it's okay. So we start walking out of the area and it's like a little bit of like there's a clear exit out of the area and then you start walking up. And so I have the rock in my hand. I put it in my pocket because it's kind of like a rocky area. I'm going to need my hands. So I put it in my pocket and we're walking up. He's a little bit ahead of me. And we pass by a couple who are taking pictures of like each other and of like selfies and things like that. And so my partner's like a couple feet ahead of me. We pass this couple and now I'm probably like 10 feet away from this couple, like they're behind me now. And my partner turns around and rushes to me and he's like, hey, should I go offer to take their picture? Right? Like with this sense of urgency. And I turn around and I look at the couple and they look perfectly content. Like they're, taking selfies and things like that. And we're kind of far from them already. And so, like, instinctively, I was like, I think they're okay. But, and he just looked at them and we started walking. As soon as we turned around to continue walking, my back started hurting. It was like instantaneous almost. I took one step and boom, the right side of my low back started to hurt. Now I already had, wait, is that the side? Yeah. I already have like a history of sciatica on that side, but it hasn't flared up in years. I try to do a lot of stretching and yoga to prevent it from flaring, but when it happened, I was surprised, but then I also was like, well, I've had back pain before, so not a big deal. But I promise you, as soon as that pain hit, I immediately thought of the rock. And I still had the rock in my pocket, okay? And we keep walking, and I tell my partner, I was like, my back just started hurting. And he was like, are you okay to keep walking? And I was like, yeah, let's just keep going. And as I kept walking, the pain like wasn't getting worse, but it wasn't getting better. And it was, if you've ever had sciatica, it can be very painful. It's a pinched nerve kind of feeling. And it was radiating down my right buttocks to the back of my thigh. And it wasn't, I would say it was probably like a 3 out of 10, but the type of pain that I was getting from it, it would definitely felt like it was something that was going to get worse. And it gave me a little bit of anxiety, I had a little bit of fear, like, dang, am I kind of screwed for the rest of this trip? Not that we had that much time left anyway, but still, I definitely didn't want to get on a plane for 5 hours with, back pain like that. But I kept going because it wasn't that bad, okay? So we're hiking, and my hair started to get a little loose. So I go to grab my hair tie to pull it out and then to redo it to make it a little tighter. And as soon as I pull it out, snap, my hair tie snapped. That was the final straw. Okay. I was like, that's it. I took the rock out and I set it down. And I was like, I hear you. Thank you. I'm sorry. And I told my partner, I was like, I'm leaving the rock. My hair tie snapped. Like, we just kept going. By the time we got back to the car, my back pain slowly started to go away. And as soon as I sat in the car, it was completely gone. Okay. And I, of course, I'm thinking like, I knew better. I knew better. And but for whatever reason, I was getting this message like that I could take it. So I was so confused. And I'm talking to my partner about it, and he was like, I don't think I honored the spirit of mahalo. And I was like, do you mean aloha? He's like, no, mahalo. And so he decides to take his phone out to look up the spirit of mahalo, and this is what he got. The spirit of mahalo is a profound Hawaiian concept of living with gratitude and reverence for life, nature, and others. Beyond just saying thank you, it's about recognizing the divine breath of life, ha, in everyone and everything, and consciously appreciating the blessings around you, even the simple act of breathing. This spirit fosters a deep sense of respect and thankfulness for the abundance of life and the interconnectedness of all living things. Beyond a simple thank you, while mahalo means thank you, the spirit goes much deeper, representing a way of life centered on gratitude. Divine breath of life, the word can be broken down to ma, meaning within, and ha, meaning the breath of life. This suggests a thankfulness of being in the presence of the divine breath that connects all things. And after he read that, he was like, yeah, that was the spirit of Mahalo. And he was like, I knew I should have taken that couple's photo because as soon as I didn't, I heard that I was not practicing the spirit of Mahalo. And he honestly just kind of kept beating himself up during the ride. And he was like, I really think that if I would have taken their picture, we would have been able to keep the rock. And it was really sweet because he felt bad, but I told him, like, listen, I was fully aware of this curse, okay? I knew what I was doing. Yeah, I was getting mixed messages. So that was a little confusing. I was like, but don't worry. Like that was, if anything, it just ends up being a fun story for me to be able to share with others, to share that that curse is very real. And yeah, maybe some people will be like, oh, it's back pain and a hair tie. Like, trust me, I was not about to get on a plane and find out that way, okay? I was very clearly warned in those moments that if I kept going, that it was just going to continue. So, yeah. But anyway, it was really sweet that he felt that way. So, I get home and I still am integrating the experience. There is always a spiritual aspect to me traveling, and then there's always a human aspect to it. And so it takes me a little while to like integrate the experience entirely because it's not just a vacation, it's an experience, it's a connection. And so yeah, so today I was like, you know what? I want to find out what that was all about because I for sure know that I was being told that it was okay for me to take one. And then I learned very quickly that it wasn't okay. So what's the deal with that? And I was like, I don't know who to talk to. Do I just talk to the big island? And as I'm asking who I should talk to, this massive visual of a woman comes into my awareness, okay? And she's huge. She's bigger than this house, okay? Like big. And she's in the shape of a volcano, okay? And her hair is like wavy and lava is running down her waves. And I was like, of course I should speak to Pele, right? And it's just funny because in that moment I was like, duh. But yeah. And I was like, Pele, is that really you? And she was like, I prefer if you call me by my full name. And so I had to look up her full name, and it is Pelehonuamea. I'm awful. As much as I want to be Hawaiian, I'm not very good with the language. And so I just kept saying it, and she was giving off this energy of she kind of reminded me of the Hindu goddess Kali Ma, except a little less dark and more. She's actually kind of playful, to be honest. She was not. She's intimidating for sure, but not in a scary way. She's intimidating just with her power. She has a lot of power, but she's also very playful and she's very loving. Her energy is that of like resilience and keeping your word. There's just a lot of strength with her. And so the first question I had was, why do you curse people who try to take a lava rock? Because, any human would be like, it's just a rock, right? And she said, I don't like to use the word curse. I prefer the word promise. And she gave me this visual of I'm assuming it's her. It's this woman, dark skin, dark hair, wavy. She's beautiful. And I don't think she was human. When I asked if she was like an Anunnaki, I got no, that she was not an Anunnaki specifically, but she was very similar. So, like an interdimensional being nonetheless, not human. Okay. And she she gave me this visual of things being taken from her. And she didn't go into a lot of detail, but the feeling felt very painful, like family, like loved ones being taken from her. Um, and that is originally where this promise comes from. And she said that the spirit of Mahalo is about gratitude and being grateful and giving more than receiving. And she said that she made a promise to herself and to the world that if anybody took what was not given to them via a lava rock, then they would ultimately suffer the consequences. And so she doesn't look at it as a curse, as something negative, but rather a lesson to be learned. And so I asked her, I was like, okay, well then why did I get the green light to take it, but then immediately learn that I shouldn't have taken it? She said that the spirits of the area wanted me to take the rock. They genuinely wanted to give me something and felt like I earned it. Okay. Those were the other energies that were on the island. And there are a lot of energies everywhere. Where I was in that moment was very peaceful. It was beautiful, and it did feel like I was being gifted something. Or else I definitely would not have just taken it by any means, for sure. But I was just getting this message like, yeah, like it felt like I was like family. Okay. And so she explained to me that yes, the island loves you. The Hawaiian Islands love you. The spirits love you. However, there is still a promise. And although this promise can't be broken, there are certain people that can make an exception. And of course, I became very intrigued by this information. And I was like, okay, so who is allowed to take a rock? And she didn't tell me. Well, I was like, okay, if, I was starting to name like random people, right? And I was like, I don't know why. But the first person I thought of was Donald Trump. Don't ask me why. It was more, I'm just kind of like gauging to see where we are on the scale, right? I already knew the answer was no, but I was like, okay, so if Donald Trump took one, would you uphold your promise? And she was like, yes. And I was like, what about Mother Teresa? And she's like, yes. And I was like, I was like, I feel like I'm gonna have to unpack that one. But I was like, okay, what about Buddha? And she was like, no, I would, he would be allowed to take one. And I was like, all right, what about Jesus? She's like, no, he would be allowed to take one. So I was like, all right, basically what you're saying is that if you truly embody the spirit of Mahalo, and I was like, by the way, do you mean like unconditional love? And she said yes. It's like, and unconditional love is just the best thing that I can come up with. It's really this concept of just being at one with everything. It's a deep love for existence, for everything that is within this reality. And she said that of the few who have ever truly embodied that energy, that spirit, she will gift them a lava rock. And apparently, now, don't come after me, okay? I'm not telling anyone to take a rock. I can promise you, unless you really are walking like Jesus or Buddha, okay, then you're gonna get cursed, okay? She's that picky. She's that specific. Like, you truly have to be a deeply loving and selfless person to earn a rock from her. All right. And so I clearly am nowhere near being like Jesus or Buddha. So I got a little taste of the curse, or the promise, I'm sorry. But yeah. So don't, unless you really are like Jesus. Okay. So then I threw a trick question at her, or at least I thought it was a trick question. And I was like, all right, what if a child came onto the island and took a rock? I was like, would you curse them? And she said, no, but the parents would be cursed. And I was like, yeah, I guess I should have saw that coming. And she basically shared with me that the reason why she has this energy of resilience and power and protection is because something was taken from her. And she made a promise that if anybody were to take anything else from her, that they would suffer consequences. And she said, if everyone on the planet practiced true mahalo, true unconditional love, there would be no need to protect yourself. But apparently, there are a handful of people on the planet right now who have been gifted a rock and have not been cursed. And so, because I was like, you mean to tell me that I basically need to be like Jesus in order to earn a rock from you? And she told me, she's like, yes, and it has been done. And I'll never know who these people are because they probably aren't going to announce that they got a rock, or maybe they're not even aware that that curse is a thing. I don't know, but she felt like that they were worthy. And so basically, at the end of the day, it is possible to be truly, genuinely loving towards everything, towards other humans, to animals, to the planet. It can be done. And I don't know, if it gives you any incentive to try to get to that level, then you might be gifted a lava rock. And I don't know, it's funny, obviously, because, okay, who wants a lava rock? Well, I do. And so I guess it gives me something to work towards. Not that I needed something, but I don't know. It was just a really nice reminder that that's kind of the whole point. That's the whole point. What is the point? of being here if you're not going to be loving to other people? If you're not going to give? And so, of course, as I relay this information to you, it sounds like, a conversation with a person, but that's the only way I'm able to like explain this exchange when really it's a mixture of words, it's a mixture of emotions, of visuals, of energy. So I'm really having this energetic interaction with her. It was emotional. She is obviously a powerhouse, but she's also very loving. She has very high standards, and for good reason. Her standards are good. Like, she's not a deity that wants you to sacrifice animals for her or, sacrifice your soul. She wants you to show gratitude and love, and she just wants you to be kind and to know that you are connected with everything, and so you should love everything. And so, of course, I'm like, I should be more prepared when these things happen, but sometimes I'm not. And so I don't think of the questions to ask in that moment. But it felt like she needed to leave. Like I could continue asking her questions if I wanted to, but her energy was not going to be with me while I did it, because her energy was with me. And so she kind of hinted that she was going to go, right? And while I'm doing this exchange as well, like, it's kind of hard for me to hold that energy that way too. It's kind of draining for a number of reasons, because it's emotional and it's hard to keep the visual and things like that. So I was like, okay, before you leave, what is your one message to humanity? And then, of course, I gave her, like, I've got a YouTube channel. It's small, but, what would you want to say? And she said, want less, give more. She said, the thing that your heart and your soul truly want cannot be bought with money. And she went on to explain that a lot of your suffering, a lot of your pain comes from this want of things that you don't need. And you trick yourself into thinking that you need these things. And when then you don't have it or you don't get it, you become upset and you get disappointed. And she was like, but those things are not what you truly want, and they are definitely not what you need. And so I was kind of like going back and forth with her, and I was like, okay, but we're human, right? I'm a human. Yeah, if I could just give all the time, I definitely would. But there have been times where I have given a lot and depleted myself and wasn't able to really care for myself or give me what I needed because I had given others so much. And she said, wanting things and having boundaries around what you give to others are two different things. She said, you should want less because the things that you truly want are not going to be bought with things, or like, it's not going to be a material kind of thing that you need. But the love and energy that you give to others, you give to them freely. However, you can keep yourself from being taken advantage of by setting up boundaries. And she said, I will give you a beautiful island to step on, beautiful beaches, sacred land. I'll give you rolling green hills and beautiful forests, perfect weather. But my boundary is that you not take anything with you from the beautiful place of Hawaii. My boundary is that if you take a rock then you will learn to not cross that boundary. She said the boundary is to keep you from overtaking from me. But I will give much more than anything that I'll want. So basically, she's saying, give freely, give abundantly, but don't let people take it from you. Let them receive what you are giving, but don't let others take from you. She also said, receiving something in return that pushes you even further into generosity and gratitude will go much further than wanting something or receiving something for personal gain only. And so basically what she's saying is like her philosophy is give a lot because it's for a collective, but to also have boundaries so that you don't feel like you're getting taken advantage of. And that's how you're able to continue to just give more than what you receive. And after she gave me that message, I just sat there and I started thinking about my own life. And I just kept saying, want less, give more. Want less, give more. And I just like went beside myself and just started thinking about all the things that I want. And I want them. Like there are some things that I want because I want to push my mission further. Yes. But that's not what she's talking about. It's this like a selfish want, a want of things that I just I don't need. And it's definitely like checking me. And so I'm just sitting there like, just in this moment, like thinking about my own life, like, wow, like that's really profound. And I think I really needed that message. And she just kind of smiled and left. And it's so funny because after that, I was going to make this video because I just talked to her today. And I was like, I need to talk about Mount Kilauea, which is the mountain where the volcano is. And I didn't even mention Mount Kilauea up until now, but right before I hopped on this video, I was like, well, I need to go look up Mount Kilauea because I need to make sure that I know how to pronounce it. And so I looked it up on YouTube, and when you know it, maybe a day after we left, she started erupting. And so I don't know, by the time you guys see this video, she may or may not be erupting, but as of today, she is erupting. And it looks like a waterfall or like a fountain, like the Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas, like spewing like hot lava. It's just so incredible. And so that I guess explains the urgency of why she needed to go. But just really cool that I got to talk to her. Oh, and before she even left, I asked her like why did I hear that, right? And she told me that, you know, the other spirits wanted to gift me something, but she made a promise. Also, part of that was a gift in itself. To have that experience and be able to share it with you guys was actually a gift from her. Because if I had not done all that, I wouldn't be sharing this with you. And maybe I wouldn't have connected with her at all. But that whole thing was orchestrated. And she actually wanted to speak to me. And so, yeah, it was really cool. Pelehonuamea. Her final message is want less, give more. If you ever have a chance to go visit her, I highly recommend it. Do not take a rock and just enjoy the gift of being in Hawaii. It's just a really beautiful place, and I'm really, really grateful that I got to experience all of that. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Mahalo.